There it is. There it is. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Outside the Cinema. We're your hosts. I'm Bill. That's Chris. Welcome back to our little world of cult film reviews.
Still going. There's still
16
movies.
years. I can't say 16 years going strong. 16 years ongoing. For sure.
Steadily moving forward at whatever pace we set.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good. We got to figure out. I forgot to even tell you this, and I guess I'll tell you on the air so that way Joe and Scott know too. So July 19th, I'm going down with the surgery. So we'll have to figure out if we're gonna pre-record a handful of episodes. I'm probably gonna need a month, I think, to be good. Okay. I think, but I'll be in the hospital, so I'm going in and I'm having a colorectal excursion. I don't know what the actual surgery's called. They're gonna go in. They're gonna basically cut out. I should probably turn the music off. Telling like a serious story. So yeah, as everyone knows, I was in the hospital for 16 days last summer with diverticulitis and a perforated colon. So I'm having a surgery, an elective surgery to fix it so that I don't have that issue happen again.
That shouldn't be elective, by the way.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is like I might never have another episode like I did before. I could have one tomorrow.
Yeah. And
so it's one of those things where like, yeah, you can roll with it.
But if there's a chance that you can have it again, then that shouldn't be an elective. An elective is like, I want a neck lift.
Right. Well, it's an elective surgery. It's not so like my insurance. It's covered by my insurance and stuff. It's not like I want to get a nose job.
Is it more elective in the way of if you want to do this, we can do it?
They suggested it. She was like the type of diverticulitis she has. So basically, she was like, "Hey, how do you feel?" And I'm like, "Most of the time, I feel pretty good." I'm like, "But." About to share too much information with our listenership. I get up and I have to shit for the first like 3 hours I'm up every day. And like, then I'm good.
That's a long time to be on the
Well, not like consistently for 3 hours, but like I'll have to go to the bathroom like 3 or 4 times in the first couple hours I'm up just because the way my system is like, it doesn't like, I'm uncomfortable if I'm holding anything in my lower intestine for an extended amount of time. And I don't like that.
Why?
I don't like having to spend Travis has a travel baseball game. We have to go out to wherever. Like, I have to make sure I go to the bathroom a bunch before we leave the house. Otherwise, I'm in trouble for the next couple hours. But so my doctor was my surgeon. She was like, "All right." She's like, "You have what we call smoldering diverticulitis, which means
it
never fully goes away." Yeah, it's got this look it gives you, and you're just like, oh, just not in a good way. But she's like, I would suggest the surgery. She's like, it's not required. You don't have to have it. She's like, but if we go in and we take everything out now, she's like, we'll take a chunk of your lower intestine, we'll take a chunk of your colon, and we'll put you all back together. And we can do it all with robots and lasers. I was, well, you had me at robots and then you added lasers. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So July 19th, we will not be, probably the rest from July 19th, I will say probably through the end of the summer, we will not be doing shows weekly in terms of recording a new show each week. We were going to pre-record a bunch of stuff. So some of the shows might not be your normal regular episodes. You might do something, with a guest host. We might do something with different, not reviewing 2 films. We talked about other ideas for things to do. So if you're a Patreon member and you have any ideas for any of those shows that you'd like to shoot at us, send them to us through the Patreon. That would be great. But yeah, so Scott and Joe take notice. July 19th till probably the beginning of September, we won't be recording weekly. So I know, Scott, sorry. I'm going to have to make you work. I love how much you like to complain about me putting you to work, but I'm giving you 6 weeks to plan. So, and Joe, you know what your movies are for the next month and a half. So you need to get ahead, and I will gladly get you another list of whatever you want to do for the time after that. But everything should be good. I should be good. This is not a it's obviously more than like going in to have like a hernia fixed or something like that. But like it's not like I'll be in the hospital. They said 2 to 5 days after the surgery I'll be in the hospital. Mostly just because when they put me back together, they got to make sure everything works.
It's got to come out right, huh?
Well, that's the thing is like, you know, they cut the colon at one point, they cut the intestines at one point, clean you all out, get rid of all the stuff, you know, put you back together, make sure everything flows. Because if it doesn't flow, you're in trouble. So, but so yeah, that'll be happening in July.
Huh.
So exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. I'm hoping they can give me a tummy tuck at the same time.
Why not? You're already there.
Smoldering myself. So Andrew, who is a Patreon member and has sent us films in the past and is always chiming in, sent me a message through Patreon the other day. So let's read this. Okay. So this is a reply to your last episode's call for Patreon picks and not a reply to the message above from 2 years ago. I think I previously mentioned this outside a Patreon picking window. Hard to Be a God, the German version from 1989. Apologies if it is hard to find. I bought a digital copy from Amazon a while back, so I don't know if it's even still on the service for anyone else. Some crazy compare and contrast with the Russian one would be had right there. Also, a film called Brian and Charles from 2022. You wondered if there was a British film that wasn't somebody's worst nightmare put on screen. Would love to see what you make of this one. If Hard to God turns out to be a hard to find film, try Eyes of Fire from 1983 instead. We have covered Eyes of Fire.
Oh, we did?
Before.
Okay.
We did. That was one of those folk horror movies with the weird preacher guy.
Oh, that does not narrow it down at all.
Yeah, no, we have done it. I don't know the number offhand, Andrew, but we did it, I'd say probably 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago or so. It would be a lot smarter if I put the film titles into the tags on the episodes and then we could just look it up that way, but I don't do that for some stupid reason. But so, Chris, I'm going to put you on the outlook for the German Hard to Be a God.
Okay. What year was that one?
1989.
Okay.
I really hope it's not 3 hours long.
Yeah. That other one was tough.
It was a hard watch.
Yeah.
It was a hard watch. And then Brian and Charles, if that's newer, I'm sure that's probably easier to find. Never heard of it.
No, I haven't either. I can't even find a trailer for the German version.
Let me check my super secrets place. My super secret special place.
Huh.
What we say, 1989?
Yeah.
Verify that you are human? I can't make any promises.
You can verify it, though. It doesn't say truthfully verify.
That's true. Oh, wait, there it says truthfully verify that you are human. Okay, what are we doing? Hard to Be a God?
I found 2 minutes and 47 seconds of it. It's in color, at least.
Well, 1989, I would. Well, actually, yeah, I guess the other one, too. West German, France, Russian, Switzerland, 1989 DVD RIP.
Well, if it's not for sale.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, I got a version of it right here. Peter Fleischman.
Okay.
Looks like it's a co-production with... Oh, man, that poster is not... This just looks like a bad Monty Python movie. Like, looking at the stills. Oh, all right. Well, let's see if I can get my hands on this copy.
All right.
Do it now while we're talking. See if it's the right thing.
Isn't this exciting?
I know this is exciting for you guys to listen to. All right. Well, I got it queued up. We'll see if we can find it. As far as I can tell, it's not on Amazon anymore. It's not in any of these places.
No, it's not even on like free YouTube. How it goes unseen or whatever by the rights holders, and it just stays up like some of the stuff.
Right. All right. Well, there. Okay. So Andrew, we'll work on that for next week. This week, though, on the show, These are not Patreon picks. These were from the master list of stuff. So we're doing so we're doing Drive-In Massacre. And I had it saved on my list of stuff that we were going to work through here a while back, because on Tubi, somebody, I don't know who, posted oh, good. Oh, we got it. There we go.
It is it says on Just Watch that you can rent it standard definition for 99 cents.
On what? What are you
Amazon
talking about?
Prime.
For what? What are you talking about?
For Hard to Be a God.
Okay, we're not talking about that anymore.
Well, for anybody,
have it.
For anybody that wants to watch it ahead, you could also buy it. Ready in standard def for $2.99. That's why I brought it up. It's $2.99.
Okay. So the films this week.
Oh boy, yeah.
So
what happened?
I had saved Drive-In Massacre on Tubi because it was under the title, the Mexican title. And I thought it was like a different Mexican cut of it. I didn't realize it was the same movie at first. And then I realized, with my elementary understanding of Spanish, I'm like, oh, this is just Drive-In Massacre. So I had sent you the Mexican version, and then realized that the regular version is on Tubi also.
That is true.
So, did you watch the one that was in Spanish?
All right, here's what I did.
All right.
I got the Spanish one up. I watched 25 minutes of it. And I'm like, I wonder how different this is from the English-speaking one, because the subtitles are a little weird. There's a word misspelled here and there. There's a word dropped or whatever. I'm like, so here's what I'm going to do. I don't remember anything about this except there's an asshole running the drive-in theater. So I'm going to queue up the other one and run them both at the same time. So I ran the English one on the screen I was watching, and then the Spanish one on the slightly smaller screen here. And I just compared. It got difficult because either they run at different speeds, or because there's a 3-minute difference between the two. And I think there's just a little bit longer on some scenes, because I watch one, I look over on the other one, and I'm like, oh, that was held for like 4 more seconds than the other one. Yeah. And then the commercials.
Which is mind-boggling, because there's so many scenes in that film that go on for too long. So.
Yeah. And then the what is it? I just had it. The commercials on Tubi, that all kind of knocked everything out of sync, but not so bad. So I sort of watched the Spanish one, but
I tapped out of the Spanish one after about 10 minutes.
It's tough, right?
When I realized, then I was like, is this what it's like for people that watch like American movies, like in comparison to when we watch like an Italian movie that's got a really bad dubbing or whatever? Like, is that what it feels like for other people? Because I'm like, wow, I'm really sorry. That sucks. Like, it's so silly.
I would prefer subtitles, I think, than dubbing.
Me too.
If I'm going to watch something.
All right. So either way, Drive-In Massacre is one of the films we're doing tonight. And then the other film is 1986's The Majorettes, which is this random slasher film that some production company or some home video company dug up, put a fresh coat of paint on, and then put it out on all the streaming services. Because I had never heard of it until recently. But it's got the like super 80s poster art.
I mean,
it's got.
There are going to be people that know that, and they're going to know that John Russo was involved in it.
Right.
So to you, dear listener, that knows this already, we're not talking about you. We're talking about average people that don't know who he is.
Right. But again, it was something that I hadn't seen in a while. I'd never heard of it. I'd never seen like a Blu-ray or a VHS or a DVD or anything of it. So, that's the other film for tonight.
Yep.
So, or for today. Today.
Yeah, whenever they're listening to it.
True. All right. Well, I have the Majorettes queued up here, so let's do that one first. And here we go. Do I not have audio set up? What's going on here?
See, I changed my microphone and your audio doesn't work.
The high school Majorettes. They're so popular, so pretty, and so desirable. You just can't take your eyes off them, and that's enough to get them killed. One by one by one.
He knows who we all are. And if he's determined to come after us one by one. One by one. Gives me the creeps.
One by one. They're never too young. They're never too old. They're never too late to give the last performance of their lives. Leave it to the co-author of The Night of the Living Dead to take the Majorettes apart.
Well, there you have it. I now you know who John Russo is, if you didn't know before. The Majorettes, 1986, directed by S. William Hinsman, written by John A. Russo, who also wrote the novel of it, and then the adapted screenplay. He is best known as the guy that co-wrote the screenplay for Night of the Living Dead, as they said earlier.
And the story for Return of the Living Dead.
Yep.
Got to throw that in there every chance I get.
Gots to. So this stars Kevin Kindleman, Terry Godfrey, Mark Javecki, Sue-Ann Siemens. Let's see if she's a porn actress. This is her only credit.
Okay.
Only credit. I would have assumed with a name like Sue-Ann Siemens. Now it's a stage name. Denise Hoyt and Carl Hetrick. Okay, the Majorettes. I understand why this film was forgotten for a long time and why we have not seen it pop up. That doesn't necessarily mean it's all bad, but like I get it because it's actually quite a weird little flick for a 1986 slasher film. The film starts out. How did it fucking begin? Hang on.
Wasn't it the people making out in the car? Oh no! It started off in the field with them doing it in the gym with the photographer and the janitor watching.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Yes. Yeah. So very standard. Girls well into their late 20s pretending to be high school students.
Yeah.
The weird thing with this is like they're the Majorettes. Like I don't why it's not the cheerleaders, I don't understand. They're something different.
Yeah,
I'm sure
it's
cheerleader
different.
camp, I think, have been out at this point. And so the Majorettes, the Majorettes, which are the baton twirlers at the football games.
There's a lot of people in marching band and color guard and cheerleaders go along with the stuff. But they don't generally wear one piece like leotards or bathing suits. There's like a whole uniform so they match the band. So that was a little
normally,
weird.
yeah.
That's why I thought they were cheerleaders for a while, and I'm like, why the fuck is this called Majorettes? Doesn't make sense. There is one girl. She did this fantastic kick when they each get their little solo dance routine in front of the photographer, and she kicks about as high as I can, which is like just below waist level. But then I remembered she's not really a cheerleader, so okay. But yeah, every actress in the beginning of this is old enough so that you don't feel guilty looking at them. So I think two of them had to go host the nightly news after this. They were like
the night, on a cable access channel, not even like network. So yeah, we were introduced to them. There's a guy taking photos. He's kind of like a little nerdy. And at the end of the thing, like they get the song and they're playing and they're dancing or whatever. And so then we get your standard locker room shot of the Majorettes in there. Of course, they're getting undressed and they're all getting ready to shower. And then we see that the janitor for the school is peeping Toming them through the grate, and it's all very standard stuff.
If I remember correctly, there's not a lot of nudity in this, is there?
There's a little bit.
But in the beginning, right? It should have been just butts and topless women, and it really wasn't. It was.
No, we get a couple of topless shots of the girls as they're going to the shower, but it's not like super gratuitous.
Yeah, which surprised me that there was restraint in an 80s movie about women being murdered.
Yeah. So there's a little back and forth with a couple of the girls. They're like, why are you being nice to the photographer? He's a nerd. He's a geek. And they're like, oh, this girl's like, oh, he's fine or whatever.
Yeah.
So then we fast forward to that girl in a car with the nerdy photographer kid.
Mm-hmm.
And basically she's trying to like, put the moves on him or whatever. And he's like, well, I really, really like you.
Yeah.
Denise or whatever her name was. What was her? Vicky? I don't know. They're whatever. They're interchangeable. And she's like, oh, yeah, well, I really like you too, Harold. And then she's like, oh, I can't do it. And I'm like, oh, they're playing a joke on this kid.
Yeah, I really thought they would all
is what I thought
out.
it was going to be, like
reverse the
standard,
stereotype.
like, oh,
yeah,
right, exactly, yeah. And she's like, I can't go through with it. And he's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, listen, I'm pregnant. And he's like,
sweet, let me get rid
mine.
of this condom.
He's like, he's like, wait, what are you talking about? And we learn that this chick has had relations with the town drug dealer. What was the drug dealer's name? Mace? His name is Mace.
That's real tough.
And it's Mace's baby. And I thought that if you and I made it, I would tell everyone that you were the father because you would be a much better, which is actually in this weird sort of like manipulative way, kind of sweet that she was like, I fucked up. This other guy's a scumbag.
Well, I mean,
this guy's a good guy.
I mean, the best I can say is that, that piece of shit woman made a decent decision for her child, as bad as it is. It's still 100% awful all over the place.
Right. So she couldn't go through it though, and then none of it matters though because a sword or a machete or whatever or a knife,
big old knife,
Rambo-esque knife. Yeah, Rambo-esque knife comes crashing through the roof. The two of them freak out. The guy's killed. She's chased through the woods. She's killed. And then she's dipped into the lake or the river or whatever. And then we get these weird flashes back and forth for a few moments of a church doing a christening, not a christening.
It's one of them full submerged river baptisms, Flanders style.
Baptism. That's the word I wanted. Right. And we see that this is currently like the church in the town or whatever, and the sheriff is at the church, and there's a whole bunch of people there, and then another cop comes up and is like, hey, sheriff, we've had a couple of murders. And then we're introduced to the detective that's doing the case, and he's in bed with the girl that's the like coach of the Majorettes, I guess. And he's like, oh, there's been a murder, and we got to go find out. And so we're off and running.
Yeah.
All right. So without splitting a lot of hairs, this movie is a really bizarre, like, piece of slasher history here, because this movie does not do at all what most slasher movies are going to do. So first and foremost, we have a masked killer. Now the masked killer is wearing just like your basic army fatigues and like a pair of coveralls that are camouflaged.
Yeah.
And like a matching, like if it mostly looks like if we were like hunting.
Yeah, like
if you were out hunting,
something that a bunch of people would have to throw off.
Right. Yeah. Something you could go to like any Army Navy store, any hunting store and buy or whatever.
In 1986
so,
or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So he kills a handful of these Majorettes. He kills one girl in the pool. He kills, and like, but the whole thing is like they keep this baptism thing keeps coming back.
Yeah.
But so we also have Vicky, who lives with her grandmother, and we have the nurse Helga, who's taking care of the grandmother. The nurse is very evil in the fact that she keeps telling the grandmother, who's had a stroke and can no longer speak or communicate, how she's going to kill her and then sell all of her things and make a bunch of money. And then how she's going to kill the granddaughter when she turns 18 and take her inheritance also. Now, the nurse is also the mother of the custodian or the janitor at the school, and he's 80s simple is what we'll call him.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly like William Sadler in Disturbing Behavior.
Only he's not faking it. this character is not
I
fake.
remembered he was faking it like 2 seconds after I finished that
As you said it. Because even when he stopped faking it in that movie, he still seemed like he had something very wrong with
because he
him.
kept the accent, which I think was the biggest mistake.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
but whatever.
So we've got this evil mom and or nurse and son and this whole piece of it. We also have this slasher killer that's going around killing all the majorettes. Now, why he's killing the majorettes? I mean, we find out, but like the way this film goes, none of it matters. And I'm kind of dancing around the fact that about 45 minutes into this movie, they show us and tell us who the killer is.
Yeah.
Which is not what you get. I mean, you're expecting standard slasher, whodunit,
Right.
unmasking at the end, and like, oh my God, it's old man Crabtree. Halfway through this movie, there's a murder in the showers, and hey, shut up! Stupid dog. Anyway, there's a murder in the showers, and the peeping Tom janitor is taking pictures of the girls when they're showering because that's what janitors did in the 1980s. And he takes a picture of the killer.
Yeah.
And so we find out who the killer is. And then the nurse and him. So we also find out that the janitor has a photography dark room in the basement of the house, the grandmother's house. And so the nurse is going to blackmail the killer into killing Vicky, but not until after she turns 18.
Right. Which is in like 4 days.
Right. And then she's kind of like, hey, you were going to probably kill her anyway, but if you could hold off on killing her until after she turns 18, that would be dope.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you don't tell me what to do, but all right, fine, I guess. Because they have the blackmail because they have the photo of who the killer is.
Right.
And then so we move along. But now we've got Mace and his gang of YMCA fill-ins. Sorry, Village People fill-ins.
Yeah.
Because again, this is another thing in the 80s, man. Why were all these gangs so weird?
I don't know. I really don't.
Now it's just like you wear a backwards baseball cap and your gang colors. Back then you had to dress up like a leather biker or like it was just like, and these guys are like hanging out at the high school, and I'm like, that guy's 48 years old if you're lucky.
Yeah. The
leader,
the tallest dude.
Yeah. The leader of the gang, Mace, literally looks like the guy that's the lead in Hamilton. Right?
I was thinking he looks like the really short dude in Fallout.
Yeah, but at least Fallout is too. But no, he had that perfectly like manicured goatee,
Yeah.
and he's wearing like a matching denim jacket and pants that are gray on the front and black in the back.
Okay. It matched his jacket, and it was very fucking 80s. I'll give it that. I actually
whole
liked his
crew.
outfit on him. I liked his outfit for the character.
I'm hoping. Hang on, he's got a girlfriend that he's just so fucking mean to.
Oh yeah.
He's a scumbag drug dealer. So we get that, but do I have it? I don't have it queued up here. I wish I should have queued it up, man.
There's
have it.
just so many weird things about the gang.
Yeah, the gang is like really lame.
There's one point where he's showing off the pistol, and
it's a Civil War pistol.
Right. And he's like, it shoots a ball. You can't tell where it came from because there's no rifling. And like they use that as their main weapon.
And they never reload
No,
it.
but at one point, like everybody else had knives. And then they go and they steal those two people. I call kidnapping stealing. And all of a sudden, there's this big burly dude with a pistol grip shotgun. Like, where did that come from?
So Mace gets taken into the police station because the quarterback of the football team knows that he had knocked up that other girl from the beginning of the movie, and he saw them at the drive-in and being like, he was like roughing her up a little bit. So he went to the police and was like, "Hey, I knew she was knocked up by by Mace, and I saw him roughing her up, and now she's dead. So so Mace is like, well, I'm gonna get that quarterback guy. And so rather than just like threaten him or whatever, that's where the Civil War pistol comes in. They're like, we'll shoot him in the shoulder so he'll never be able to play football again. He wouldn't just be able to go to the police and be like, hey, Mason and his gang of idiots shot me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but then it's just a ball. It's like he got hit with a marble. So how do they prove that?
Right. So then Mace kidnaps him. Harry, I think is what his name was, kidnaps him or Tommy. He definitely was a Tommy. He looked like a Tommy. And all quarterbacks from the 80s were named Tommy.
Yeah.
Kidnaps him and then one of the other girls. And they take him to this warehouse, and this is where they're going to do him in or whatever. Yeah. Or he takes Vicky. So it's Vicky and Tommy, and Vicky can't be killed until she turns 18. And then, so the son of the nurse follows them and comes in and is like, "Oh, Mace, you can't kill her. You can't kill her. We'll pay you. Yeah. We'll pay you." And then he gets shot and killed, and then she gets shot and killed. And then they think they shoot Tommy, but they don't shoot Tommy.
Let's remember, this movie is called Majorettes.
And it's a slasher film about a mass killer killing off teenage majorettes.
Not a gang movie about turf wars.
Or a sadistic nurse.
Yeah.
Killing the family she works for. But yet, it's all of these things.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and also none of them.
The basic idea for Majorettes is like, I don't know, does he do movies that you can't summarize in a sentence? Like, everybody's stuck in the house while the zombies attack, right? Somebody's killing all the Majorettes. This nurse is going to kill this old woman to get her money. It's like Night of the Living Dead was fleshed out because of the characters really made that what it was. And somebody's killing all the Majorettes. Who gives a shit? I don't know who these people are. So it's like an A, B, and C story. It's almost like he was writing for TV. It would have, what's it called? Majorettes would have worked as a night gallery episode or something.
But so we didn't mention that S.W. Hinsman. He was one of the zombies in the original Night of the Living Dead also, and he was in Flesh Eater, and he's one of the very recognizable ones if you know who he is. But so the film takes this sharp turn midway through, and then it becomes about this gang kidnapping these two, and then Tommy survives and goes back to his house. And apparently has an arsenal at his house. He takes an M16 out and he's going to go and he's going to kill Mace. And then he does. He goes and he kills Mace and blows up Mace's mobile home. Yeah,
I forgot about that.
And then so now we get that's the whole second half of the movie.
Right, but remember, somebody's killing the Majorettes.
Right.
And they're going to practice. Nobody's even acting like it's a problem.
No, he kills 3 of them.
Yeah.
3 of them and one guy. So now everyone else has been killed in a completely different manner than so Tommy the quarterback kills all of the gang. The gang kills the son and Vicky. And then the nurse kills the grandmother.
Oh, she actually did. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because then the killer shows back up now, and the killer ends up killing.
Oh yeah,
the nurse.
Yep.
Making it look like a murder-suicide because the son had died.
Right.
And then we don't solve the major issue of the movie.
But I think maybe when they were writing it, they thought, okay, so we do all of this and the gang thing happens and that triggers the thing with the nurse. And then that's how our killer can plant the costume in the house.
The thing is, they do a good job because it actually all makes sense.
It does.
Within the film.
Yeah.
But what doesn't make sense is that it's called The Majorettes and it's a slasher movie about this mass killer.
Yeah.
But like they don't really. I mean, there's a little thing at the very end of it where like they're training there's like a bunch of young little girls that are all under the age of 10 that are like doing majorette training or whatever, and the killer's watching them. And then we also have the detective character, who doesn't do his job at any point.
No,
like
he really doesn't,
because nobody finds out who the killer is. that like anyone that did find out, which was only 2 people, they're both dead.
Yeah.
It is wacky the way the storytelling goes in this movie, man. It is wacky. But at the same time, it ain't bad.
That is a good point.
It ain't terrible.
That is a good point.
It isn't terrible. Yeah, Bill Hinsman he's the graveyard zombie at the beginning of Night of the Living Dead that attacks Barbara. Anyway, so yeah, in this weird sort of way, like this is, I mean, it's bad because it's a low budget 80s slasher film, but like I'm kind of impressed with the fact that they were able to kind of do something else with it and kind of flip it on its script and kind of make it work.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
We know 80s slashers, you need to have over the top killings, and this doesn't have them.
Right.
They shy away from showing much of anything. It's almost like an edited for TV, it feels, when you're watching it.
Which is why the nudity doesn't really even register, because it feels sanitized.
Yeah, it really does. And then the killer's reasoning for the murders is never really fully explored. And the reason that we're given is actually, it's pretty good. But like, why? They never answer the why of anything. What made this guy turn to being this, this mass killer of majorettes? And why specifically the majorettes when you also have a cheerleading squad too?
Yeah. That's
there needed
weird.
to be some sort of connection. His daughter died of a drug overdose because of the influence of the majorettes, or she was, I don't know, raped by a member of the football. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's a reason that's given, and you're like, okay, but the fact that you then also shied away from the main story for half the film doesn't really answer any of these questions.
Yeah. I don't have much on this because I really liked the look of it. I liked watching everybody dance around and whatever. I love the 80s fashion because, that's when I grew up. So that was fun. But yeah, halfway through, I'm like, wait, aren't they supposed to be getting murdered? But they don't even flesh them out. Like the first few that get killed, it's like, well, she was an asshole. Not that deserves death, but it's like,
right.
It's a little more difficult to feel bad when you were going to just wreck this guy's life because you think he's better than the other person. Yeah. I don't know. I can't really get too excited about this.
Well then.
Mission failure.
Would you recommend, and what is your grade for the majorettes?
I know I made it sound awful. But yeah, I am going to recommend this because it's I don't know, it's just a little bit different, but it's not awful. The acting is perfectly fine. I'm not going to say great. And it does have one of the more realistic looking woman hanging, from a rope type looks. They must have had her standing on a chair so she could position her body correctly so that the head tilt would be right. Because it always bugs me when dead bodies don't behave the way they should. Can I tell you my biggest, most egregious one?
Sure.
When Michael Myers stabs that dude through the chest and attaches him to the wall, he is stiff as a board.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That bugs me. Anyway, yeah, this one had an actual hanging where I'm like, yeah, that looks kind of good. So that's a plus. They took the time with that.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to give it a C+.
All right.
It's fine. You won't be mad at it.
I agree. I'm pretty much in agreement with you. I mean, anyone that knows this show knows I'm a sucker for 80s slasher films. I really would have liked this one, liked it to kind of just stick to what they were doing and what the expectation was. Because I think once they kind of started to reveal it, I was like, oh, I'm like, that's better than I was thinking. But they don't answer a lot of those questions, and it just kind of is left kind of hanging in the wind there. But at the same time, I'm also impressed that they did try to do something different with it. And I just wish they had committed a little bit more. Because this is short, too. This was like less than 90 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. It was over before I realized it. I didn't get time to get bored.
They could have added just 10 minminutes of some other stuff and maybe gotten more back to the slasher element of it.
I will say, though, it did a good red herring. I actually thought I had figured out who it was, and I was not correct. So it surprised me, I
did figure out who it was, and I was correct. And I was very much like, oh, yeah, that's the killer. And then, to my surprise, 5 minutes later, halfway through the movie, I was told who it was. It's good. It's not great. But if you like 80s stuff, then yeah, you should give it a check. You should give it a check. And as a grade, though, yeah, I can't go above a C plus, borderline B minus. I can't. It doesn't offer enough, but it is interesting to watch and check out because it is bizarre in the way it tells its story. And then, I say bizarre, and we don't mean like arty or like they're not doing anything like cool with like the shots or like anything. It's just bizarre that like it's a slasher movie that in the middle of it turns into something else. But definitely worth checking out, I think, and that's available to watch on Tubi also. Tubi, I think it's on Prime. It's one of those ones that's on a bunch of different places.
Yeah, shouldn't have too much difficulty.
No. Okay, speaking of having too much difficulty, Drive-In Massacre. Or Massacre en el Cine. I don't know how I'd never watched this. I've known about it for years. It's just one of those ones that like I can't believe that in the 16 years we've done this show, we never did Drive-In Massacre. It's like actually seems pretty crazy when you start to think about the thousands of movies we've covered over the years.
Yeah. Yeah, the title is just ripe for it.
Yeah, I don't have a trailer here. I'm not going to go searching for one either. So it's directed by Stu Siegel, who I want to say was an adult film director, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. Wicked Games. That sounds like a porno.
Anything
See
can sound
Arnold
like a
Run.
porn.
Some executive producer on a bunch of episodes of Hunter. Remember Hunter?
I do.
Looks like he did a lot of executive production work on TV stuff.
Okay.
Silk Stockings. Everyone's favorite show that aired after Monday Night Raw. Where's his directing stuff? I want to find his directing stuff. A lot of production stuff. Okay, directing. Here we go. Illegal in Blue. Hot Blooded. Insatiable 2. Oh, he was an adult film director under the name Godfrey Daniels.
Oh.
He directed The Younger the Better.
Ugh. That has bad implications.
High School Memories. Ridiculous. But why is it not listed here? Drive-In Massacre isn't even listed.
No?
Under his stuff.
Huh.
Am I looking at the wrong thing?
Maybe.
Stu Siegel. Director Stu Siegel. All right, whatever. Drive-In Massacre. You're not going to recognize anybody. This is another one where it should just be like the standard slasher movie, and it turns into like a procedural cop drama.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that's true.
You got the local drive-in. The film opens with like a voiceover and a thing that's like, it all started at a drive-in in California 2 years ago. We then see two people in a car watching a movie and then also necking, as people are known to do at the drive-in. And then they're stabbed and dead.
Yeah. Oh, no.
By like a samurai sword.
No, the first ones aren't. The first ones are decapitated.
Ah, yes, the decapitation.
Yep. That no one saw.
That was my first thing. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
there's lots of cars at this drive-in, and nobody saw these two get shish kebab.
Right.
De-headed, if you will.
De-headed. Yeah.
De-headed. So the cops, we got two cops. Detective Mike Leary. And then the other guy.
His twin brother, it looked like.
Yeah, Detective Mike Leary and then Detective Dave Leary, we'll say. But it's just interesting because they're two like overweight dudes in their 50s.
Yep.
That are like literally just being like detectives. It's like there's no outside story on these two guys at all. No anything.
No, they're just the cops. We're here.
So they go down to question the guy that runs the drive-in. And it's this bald dude with like a huge attitude problem.
He looks like Sid Haig's younger cousin.
Yeah, they're like, so, what happened with those kids last night? And he goes off on a 25-minute tangent about how much he hates his job, how much he hates kids these days, how much he hates the people that work for him, how much he hates the cops, how much he hates everything. Like, he goes off on this giant thing about, like, hating everything. And the two cops are just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
What happened? You should probably ask Jeremy because he knows.
No, we're asking
Jeremy,
you. That's not how cops work. That's not how it.
No. And so Jeremy, not Jeremy, they call him Jeremy to make fun of him. And by they, I mean
Gormy is what it really is.
Gormy.
Yeah, because I thought that's not a real word either.
Yeah, so he's 70s simple. So the whole thing is that they used to have a carnival there, and then they closed the carnival and opened a drive-in instead. The guy that owned the carnival closed the carnival, opened a drive-in, and all of the people the two people that we know of that are there both used to work at the carnival. Gormy doesn't really mind it. He's like, oh, I take the tickets and I watch the kids and make sure there's no trouble or anything, and I pick up the mess.
Yeah,
the other guy's like, well, I'm an asshole and I hate everybody.
Yeah. Somehow that motherfucker sells tickets, runs the concession stand and the projection booth.
Yep, and cleans up after everybody.
Yeah, no. There's no way. Not in that era.
No.
Now with a digital theater, you could run the prodigious program in the beginning of the week and you're all set.
Speaking of digital theaters, I saw the Fall Guy yesterday.
Yeah?
Yeah, I wanted to go to the movies for Mother's Day.
Huh.
And we saw The Fall Guy, and it was excellent.
Huh.
Much better than I expected it to be. Good friend of the show, BJ McDonald, was the Steadicam operator on
That is true. I've been following him.
Yeah.
Not him, but like the progress, like his updates. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean. Anyway, getting back to this. So we know the guy with the shaved head's an asshole. The other guy's a little mentally deficient, but like not terrible. Like he isn't like overplayed to be like, like a moron or anything like that.
Yeah.
He's just a little slow.
He's innocent.
Yeah.
And naive. I think if they were going to do it today, it would be that instead of handicapped.
Correct. So this movie runs an hour and 14 minutes. It is very short. And it's literally just murder, detectives questioning some guys, murder, detectives questioning some guys, murder, detectives questioning some guys, movie's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this other guy there that like likes to, in one of the greatest quotes I think I've heard in a movie that we've ever watched. They figure out, they get the license plate number from Gormy and they go to this guy's house and they're like, hey, we think you killed these people. He's like, I didn't kill them. I didn't kill anyone. He's like, I was parked next to the car. I didn't see, and they're like, well, you got out of the car and we saw you. And he goes, listen, I didn't kill anyone. I just like to beat my meat.
Yeah. He was a weird guy because like they go to his house, like
yes.
Dude owns a house because it's the 70s. He probably paid $15.75 for it. And on his wall, he has just taped up centerfolds. So it's like somebody else's house, and they're like, we just got to make it look like this shithead lives here. So we'll do this. And he is, quote unquote, pressured into revealing some really, like, private details.
Yeah.
And the beaten his meat one is definitely one of them. But
And the way he says it, I just wanted to beat my meat.
yeah, it's just so funny. It was the weirdest part of the whole thing because, like, he just wants them to go away. He doesn't want to say anything else because he's just going to embarrass himself. And then I don't understand, why did they have to have the part where they go out to the car? I understand the thing with the neighbors. Right? Like, he's like, can we pretend we're friends? Because, like, he's not under arrest or anything. They poke through his whole house. But they find a bloody piece of material. I can't even tell what it is, whether it's a woman's top or a T-shirt or whatever, and it's got blood on it. And he says it was from a dog, and then he takes off running. Like, dude, that's not helping. That's not helping your case at all. And it was dog blood. So it's like, what was the point of him running? I think I understand finding it, keeping suspicion on him for a little bit longer. Sure. But his running really did not make sense at all.
No, because you only run if you did something wrong.
Yeah. 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 And just if you are innocent and you're on trial, you don't try to constantly delay the trial. You want that done so that you can be free to do whatever it is you're doing. Only guilty people try to use the legal system to delay their trials. In drive-in massacre.
I know, man. So they get away. He gets away. And now I'm watching this movie and I'm like, we only have 2 people that could possibly be the killer, because there's only 2 other characters in the movie.
Yeah.
So they then have this moment where they get a phone call and they're like, hey, they've got a guy cornered in a warehouse with a girl hostage and a machete downtown. That sounds like our guy.
Yeah. I got to admit, I mean, I know the actor. I read his name on the thing before we start talking about him. And because of the hostage and everything that happens, I couldn't remember which movie it was for a second, because it can work in both. So, glad it's this one.
So we're then introduced to Buck Flowers, who obviously, legend, is, been in 1,000,005 things.
Yep, one of the writers on this.
Was he really?
That's what it said. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Writers John Goff, George Buck Flowers, and Stu Seagal.
All right. So he's holding this girl hostage, and then we get 10 minutes or so. Now, again, remember that this movie was only an hour and 14 minutes to start. We get 10 minutes of him, like, chasing this girl around this warehouse. And then we hear the police sirens. And so remember that they said that they had him cornered in a warehouse?
Yeah.
So we then get a shot of the 2 detectives. We got Roly-Poly. We got Hitchcock and Scully rolling in.
Yeah.
And we have this wicked loud police siren, but they don't have a siren or lights on their car.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get out, and there's one guy who's not a police officer standing by the door, like ducking behind a dumpster. He's in there, and he's got a girl. I'm like, they said that they had this guy cornered in there. Like,
yeah.
So they go in, they try to track him down. They end up shooting Buck Flowers and killing him. The girl comes up and is like, why did you have to kill him? Oh, well, he's killed a lot of people. She's like, that's my dad. He escaped from a mental asylum this morning. He killed my mother, but I don't really know what you're talking about. So then we're like, oh, shit, he's not the killer. And then I got real mad because I'm like, why did we just spend 15 minutes on this?
I know. Another red herring that didn't need to be there.
Nope.
Really weird.
Nope. And spoiler alert, you don't ever find out who the killer is. because Gormy has been fired and they lead you to believe that it's him. So he goes into the projection booth with the manager, and then we see these shadows of what we believe is the manager being killed.
Yep.
But then we go into the booth and we find out that Gormy is also dead.
Yeah.
And then we get this fucking bullshit narrator of, and this was just the beginning. There's been many other murders at many other drive-ins, and no one knows when it'll stop.
Yeah, but like they never showed the dickhead's body.
But it's insinuated because when they come in, the girl screams.
Yeah, it's insinuated, but if you don't show me a body, he's not dead. I mean, I know
Then
my
what was
horror
she screaming
movies.
at?
So
Then what was she screaming at? Tell me.
Was it
Tell me.
probably
Go ahead, tell me.
the heat inside the booth?
The heat, yes, I'm sure that's
or
what
the
it
fact
was.
that the reel was going to run out very soon.
Show you the heat. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, you
Yep.
fucking mark.
Yep. My name's
And the
Chris.
movie just ends. It's frustrating and it's annoying and it's cheap and it's lame.
Yeah.
Speaking of cheap and lame, Chris,
Yeah.
do you recommend and what is your grade for Drive-In Massacre? Or Massacre NL Autocine?
Yeah. I mean, I sort of do want to recommend it because it's weird. It's just not the movie that you think it's going to be. And then it's not even the movie you think it's going to be.
As you're watching.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just nope. But I do want it's if you've listened to the show for more than 100 episodes, you should definitely watch it because it's right up your alley. Otherwise, don't. And I'm gonna go C- on this one. I think I didn't hate it. The one dude there, the bald guy, really like ratcheted things up with his
Vitriol
attitude.
and,
I was
like,
very surprised. He was a
So much anger and hatred coming
Yeah.
from that guy.
yeah, he was a decent actor for, we want you to be an asshole. Okay, I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll recommend it. I'll give it's really short. So like again, less than an hour and a half. It's an hour and 14 minutes long. And then there's like 2 or 3 scenes that go on for an extended amount of time. We didn't even mention the scene where Gormy's just roaming around the random carnival for like 5-6 minutes. Again, no point.
Yeah.
No point. When I saw that this was written in like a matter of like a week and then filmed in 4 days, and then also like everyone used pseudonyms because it wasn't a Screen Actors Guild thing.
Yeah.
So it's thoroughly fine. It's short enough that you're not going to get too mad, but it's not a classic in terms of like the 70s like drive-in theater grindhousey type stuff. It's fine.
It's
fine.
sort
Some
of
of
like
the-
a Saturday afternoon kind of movie.
Yeah, and some of the murders look like effectively cheesy in the way like that, you know, like the head's getting cut off and like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yes, D plus C minus. So
Yeah.
speaking of D pluses and C minuses, Joe is starting the Wrong Turn franchise. Let's see what he thought of the first film. Oh, sorry, I muted it earlier when I was trying to
Oh, that's right.
figure out the
Bill, hello Chris, and hello OTC Nation. It's your boy Joe here, and this week Bill took me to almost heaven, West Virginia. He made me start the Wrong Turn franchise. Might as well start with the first one. We've all seen Wrong Turn, yeah?
saw in the
Like
theater.
I feel pretty safe not needing to spoiler alert anyone on Wrong Turn.
I don't think I've seen it, but I don't
Not
care.
that this movie has anything to spoil. It's pretty straightforward in its premise. It's not like this is someone's Moby Dick, where like the psychotic inbred hillbillies represent man's search for the meaning of existence. And the guy driving the old like late 60s Mustang in the early aughts is supposed to represent like the self-deluded yearning for a simpler time that wasn't that simple. Like, no, this is just a movie about a group of expendable douchebags lost in the woods with a family of inbred cannibals hunting them. It's also about Eliza Dushku being more of a smoke show than the port of Texas City on April 16th, 1947. I'll let you all know right now that this is the only Wrong Turn movie I've seen, the 2003 OG. I haven't seen any of the 5 straight-to-video sequels, which is weird because I own a Blu-ray set that is, the first 6. Wait, no, the first 5 Wrong Turn films. The 6th one I'll have to find somewhere. And I didn't even know they did a remake until Bill told me about it earlier this week. So here's hoping I'm in for a pleasant surprise and not a never-ending hellscape like the Children of the Corn films. From what I've been told, at least I'll get some good gore with these. So, huzzah. I would like to point out something I find interesting. There's moments from movies, or even just general ideas from movies, that become real-life memes, and I think it shows the significant impact that art has on our kind of collective whatever. Like, most people didn't see Final Destination 2. If you do the math, Final Destination 2, it was a successful film, but it didn't set the world on fire. It was not, Titanic or what's that one I haven't seen? The fish people, the weird blue people. Avatar. Yeah. But realistically, most people in the world haven't seen Final Destination 2 yet. Almost every person in the world aged 25 to 50, if they're in traffic behind a logging truck, is like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and change lanes. Yep. Or, oh, hey, look, there's a Buc-ee's at this exit. Let's go over and get some pulled pork, huh? Off the highway, rippity-rip, because we're not going to get Final Destinationed.
Yeah.
And while maybe this movie might not be as impactful, I bet half the people in that age group, if detoured off the highway, would say to their homies, are we about to get wrong turned? Like, it's not like this movie set the world on fire. It made $28 million against a $12 million budget.
Okay.
Successful, but, not successful in the minds of people where millions of dollars isn't that much money. Yet everyone knows it. I don't know. I just kind of find that whole thing kind of weird.
I think it's because they made 50 of them.
Nice little, at least I think this was on purpose, the little nod to the Italian cannibal films. I'm sure we all know 99% of those movies open with like a really long helicopter shot of the rainforest, and it's like half a world away, so it looks all mystical and beautiful and foreign. And here it's a little bit shorter, but we get an opening helicopter flying shot over the Monongahela forest, or Monongalia. I don't know which one.
I think
Let's
it's
say Monongahela. The Monongahela forest. And it gives the same effect that those Italian cannibal films have, even though, hell, for me, it's like a day's drive. I don't know. It's probably not even a 12-hour drive. Our first victim is that one guy, handsome guy. He's been in some things. Desmond something. Guy with cheekbones sharp enough I could use it to cut a tin can and still cleanly slice a tomato. Well, he's heading to Raleigh, North Carolina for a job interview. And instead of being a goddamn adult, realizing that he has to drive at least one full state over, I don't know, maybe he should have just gone the day before and stayed at a Holiday Inn Express if you've got a goddamn job interview. Well, here he is, making that drive with no time to spare, and he's still in West Virginia. And the highway's at a standstill like it's the 405, so he pops off onto the back roads of rural West Virginia.
Bad call.
Which is probably a bad idea even if you're not in a horror movie. But if bad decisions were never a thing, we wouldn't have the horror genre as a whole, so I'll allow it.
Or romantic comedies.
He crashes his pretty sweet Mustang into a group of modern-day hippies who ran over some suspiciously placed barbed wire. They are all impossibly good-looking people, and we're off to the races. The horrible please don't eat my left leg races. They then, and let's be fair here, trespass on the cannibal family's land and break into their home.
Why?
They've committed 2 high court misdemeanors here, breaking and entering and trespass.
Goldilocks.
I'm not one of those get off my property, aim a shotgun at someone types of people, but if I came home from work and Jeremy Sisto and Emmanuel Shirky had just bombed up into my house and were playing on my PS5, ruining my Fallout 4 save game, and eating my chips and whatnot, we might need to sit down and have a conversation about politeness.
Agreed.
Now, when I say we're off to the races, I mean it. When this movie hits the gas, on the we have to escape the woods because Festus and Cletus and Beauregard are in need of a snack. That's pretty much all the rest of the movie, and to its credit, that's exactly what it should be. Jeremy Sisto probably needed to get back to the set of 6 Feet Under because he's the first significant character to find out if there's an afterlife. Like 2 minor characters eat it early on, but they are clearly established to not matter, so it's fine. But yeah, he gets arrowed in the back about a half dozen times, and hooray for practical effects. Yada, 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 more chasey through the woods, and the cannibal, the makeup they did on the inbred hillbillies is actually really good because it's out there. They're obviously deformed and mutated and hideously inbred, but it's not so over the top that you're like, all right, you know, like it actually doesn't stretch the bounds of realism. Poor cute little Emmanuel Shirky gets it next, up in a tree when one of the hillbillies asks her a question. The question is, what happens when I remove the top 2/3 of your head from the rest of your body? I can actually answer that. I'm going to raise my hand in class here. We get a really cool camera shot of her pupils fully dilating as she dies, and then it pans back to an even cooler camera shot of her body falling down the tree with the top of her head still resting on the axe head that's stuck in the tree.
No.
It's actually really cool.
I'm going to have to watch this.
Chase through the trees, Endor style. Dushku gets nabbed, and Cheekbones mounts a rescue. And then it gets all sorts of like ECW circa 1997, this big old fuck off fight with like weapons, and the heels are no selling. And then we get the Jaws ending, where like they have temporarily delayed or wounded the rednecks. They escape, and then Cheekbones shoots like a gas line or a gas tank or something because he just like shoots a shotgun into the house and it blows up real good. The questioning tone in my voice is because they never established the gas line or gas tank or propane tank or whatever would have caused that.
Oh.
And while it's not a disappointing ending at all, I think this type of movie, and especially with the tone they were going for, they were very much going for a 1970s, like a mid to late 70s, like kind of more gritty, gory feel for this one. I think the heels should have gone over. They should have gotten the dub and fucked the baby faces for the win. But, you know, that's the thing that should be in the thing, so here's the thing. The good. This whole movie's pretty good, actually. Better than I remembered it being. Like, this is a solid entry into the early aughts horror boom that, in my opinion, was notable for being more bad than good.
All right.
See Valentine, the one with David Boreanaz.
Yeah.
Woof. The bad. Boy, that script needed a little more time in the oven. It really did. Also, I found out while watching this that Roger Corman died.
Yeah.
He lived to 98 and was only just shy of 500 producing credits to his name on IMDb. So
Wow.
I guess all I can say is well played, sir. Salute. Wrong Turn gets a solid pass. It's a good movie and worth a rewatch if it's been a while for you. I will be back next week with Wrong Turn 2. So until then, be good, everyone.
Well, there you have it. I remember really enjoying Wrong Turn when I saw it. I mean, I know I saw it in the theater.
Okay.
And there's one other one in the series that I know is also really good, but I don't remember which one it was. So we'll just have to wait to find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Okay. Reverend Scott is here. He is going to, I don't know what he's going to do.
It's
Whatever, just
something.
listen to him. We've ended friendships, I think, over people eating cereal into the microphone.
Oh, I've definitely stopped listening to shows and movies.
Shows that we were like,
Stop watching movies.
Yeah, shows that we were friends with at one time we're no longer friends with because they eat on the air too much.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the last time I ate on the air.
Yeah, me either.
I could tell you.
Bacon and mustard flavored my ass. It tastes more like my ass. Wherever the fucking spaghetti falls,
Yeah.
is wherever the spaghetti falls.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
With Reverend Scott.
It's Pizzeria Regina.
Hey there, Bill and Chris. This is Reverend Scott.
I honestly thought at first that this was not going to be a real person.
Chris, go look me up.
I just typed the name in and I'm like, oh shit, it is a real person.
Told you so. And today I'm going to be talking about a horror flick from last November that I finally got a chance to check out. It's from A24 and it actually was pretty scary. But you don't get to hear me talk about that until I'm done judging you on last week's reviews. Tough shit.
He's a textbook narcissist and sociopath. Because he doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks. He's going to do what he needs to do for himself.
I'm glad you get me, Chris. And I'm also glad you got to have another Patreon pick week last time. How did that go?
I don't trust anybody that gives us movies through Patreon anymore.
Yeah, guys, you've ruined your trust with us.
That's what I like to hear. What was the first movie?
Chameleon Street, 1989. I do have a trailer here.
Haha, we definitely don't have time to wait for you to play all that. I'm skipping to the end.
I am Chameleon Street.
Okay, there we go. Whoops, no, we already watched one.
The box. Behind every door is
Where's that even coming from?
So I didn't look this up because who has the time, but I'm fairly certain I've heard about this guy before. A career scam artist and serial liar. So like right off the bat, I like him. And I like how he just doesn't give a fuck about what profession he's pretending to do. I mean, like, you need a lawyer? That's him. He's your lawyer now.
But that's confusing for me because, like, if he's an attorney, like, wouldn't you just check his status with the bar?
Sounds like somebody hasn't seen the show Suits. No worries, it's on Netflix. I discovered it just now, and I'm recommending it to you. Credit goes to me only. So anyway, anything else you guys want to say about this flick?
This is Catch Me If You Can, like, light.
Somehow I've never actually watched that one. Maybe I should. I probably won't. So I give Chameleon Street a C for lizard, and I give the review a B+. After that was
Buzzard, 2014.
It's about a guy named Marty.
Marty is a scumbag.
What do you know? Another con artist, but not like the Saul Goodman type. More like the doesn't get away with shit type.
He's a dope.
Yeah, no, this kid's an idiot that's, like, again, doesn't want to put any work in for anything.
Yeah, he thinks he's above everything, and he's not aware enough to know that he is below everybody.
Right.
You're talking about Marty, right? You know what? Never mind. Let's move on. I think this was about a Nintendo Power Freddy Krueger glove and scamming bank checks. I don't know. Then Bill started bragging about how some lady at the bank gave him a bunch of checks to move to deposit for a charity for sick kids that have sick dogs that have sick puppies.
Well, she gave me these checks. I can just sign them all over to me and take the money.
Yeah.
Just disgusting.
Just such a fucking loser. Like,
Oh, yeah.
such a loser.
Bill tried to entice me not to tell you about this little check thing with an invite to his basement.
You should come over, man. Come over, hang out in the party zone.
I'm going to be honest, it's not a party zone. It's more like the pathetic zone.
Dude, like, get the fuck out of here.
Fine, I'll just rate this flick and get out of here. Buzzard 2014 gets a B for Party Zone. And the review gets a B+ as well. Boy, you killed it, guys. Likely due to my recommendations. Moving on, did you figure out what that A24 horror flick that came out last November was that I was talking about just like a few minutes ago? If not, here's another hint. It stars Nicolas Cage, and probably the least Nicolas Cage performance ever, because he plays a regular ass sweater vest wearing, gray beard having, glasses wearing, balding head man named Paul Matthews in the movie Dream Scenario. And in case you didn't know what this was about, it's kind of like a long form episode of Black Mirror, with a college professor that has a doctorate and he teaches a course on animal biology, I think, which is different than psychology.
I'm not a psychologist, obviously.
Damn right you're not.
So various people around him start seeing him passively show up in their dreams. It started with his daughter and then started to just kind of spread to random people around him. And I'm just going to tell you right now, what starts as an interesting little
Phenomena.
ends up turning into a nightmare for everyone, pun intended. Because when it starts out, Paul tries to take this newfound fame and capitalize on it. He wants to put his doctorate research into a book, and he needs a publisher. So that's when he gets involved with Michael Cera's, PR team or advertising firm or whatever the fuck they are, and they want to try and get this thing working. Hell, they're even in contacts with Sprite. Holy shit. And I'm not even going to get into what happens with the 20-something girl that works at the company. We'll just say that there's an attempt to replay a dream in real life.
What a terrible scene that was.
Yeah, but it's also kind of fantastic at the same time, isn't it?
That's a word you could use.
But before he can even think about writing this book, things start to take a horrible turn for the worse.
Who is this guy? And they're like, we have no idea.
Yeah.
So, like, his own stupidity
Yeah.
ruined him.
Paul gets bogged down by too much indecision, and he missed all kinds of opportunities. Some of them are out of his control. Well, one thing was probably within his control that he addresses early on in the film with a colleague of his, but still, the rest very much out of his control. But eventually, what started as a fun and fame opportunity with even a Q&A with the class on their dreams has started to become too uncomfortable for some of his students to bear to even be in class with him at all.
I don't have a reason. That's how it feels this time.
In fact, most everyone that's ever dreamed about Paul is being horribly murdered or, even worse, by Paul in their dreams. Paul is now desperate to sign the original deal that he had with Michael Cera's company before it's too late, but the company is like,
no, you can't.
No.
They're going to have to pivot, as they say. He can't even go out to eat without people around him being willing to have a physical altercation to make sure that he leaves because of how uncomfortable it makes them feel. Which is the true horror of this situation. They never even have met Paul, and they don't even know him, but they can't even fucking stand to see him.
That was bizarre, man.
Yeah, but it's not.
Most of this is totally out of his control, yet it's still ruining his life. And he's so unsure how to handle this that the things he does choose to do are generally the worst fucking options possible. It's a very scary film in a very subtle way. There are a few kind of quasi-jump scares or just really creepy to watch situations, but most of it is just this kind of general, just dark cloud of a feeling over top of everything. And some of the places they take this concept in the third act are almost more scary in a way, and really feel like Black Mirror. This is uncomfortable even for the viewer to watch, but at the same time it's fascinating and oftentimes is funny too. I highly recommend you go check out Dream Scenario over on Max. I give a big pat on the back to Nicolas Cage, and I give this movie a B+. That's your new opinion. Okay, that's all for Holy Shit this week, but make sure you tune in to Outside the Cinema next week when Bill starts talking about his new hobby.
Every pizza parlor in town that I enjoy burns down.
Really?
3 of them.
You can stop doing that.
Then the police visit Chris for information on multiple arsons in the area.
I know where I'd start my investigation.
All that and so many more felony charges. But until then, peace and love, guys. Outside the Cinema featuring Holy Shit with Reverend Scott.
That part was kind of boring.
I kind of found the whole thing boring.
Outside the Burning Pizza Parlor with Bill and Chris.
This guy's eating on the air.
They're talking about food, not movies. What the fuck?
Nobody cares about that anymore, man. Come on, bro. I'm really glad that Scott introduced me to Dream Scenario so much that I included it on my top 10 of the year list last January.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I still haven't seen it.
Well, get to stepping. Sorry, I don't. All right, guys. Hey, join our Patreon at patreon.com/outside the cinema. Suggest movies to us, suggest episodes, all of that fun stuff. Follow Chris and I on Instagram at OTC Bill and at Cthulhu. You can join our Facebook group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have some stuff going on next week, and yeah. I got nothing else to add. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
I gotta go burn down a pizza parlor. It's no big deal. No big D.
You're behind schedule.
All right. See you guys later.